Alright, this is part 2 of man-in-the-middle attacks, where I'm going to be covering Ettercap with the graphical interface and through the command line. So, to start off, we're going to have to edit the Ettercap config file. So we'll open up a terminal, and we'll type in nano/etc Ettercap, and then eder.conf, and you're going to see right here where it says privs. We're going to change the privileges to 0 for ECUID and the GID, so we can put in 0. And if you like to keep the previous value that was there so you know what it is, we can just comment it out with a $. And then for GUID we'll do the same thing. And then we're going to scroll down the list until we see about IP tables and IP chains, as you can see here under Linux. If you're using IP chains, you're going to uncomment these 2 lines here. If you're using IP tables, we're going to uncomment these 2 lines here. If you're not sure exactly what you're using, we'll assume that it's IP tables. For the most part, that will work for you. So we'll uncomment those 2 lines, and then we can go ahead and we can save this file. We can hit Control O and enter, and then Control X to exit it. So from here we can go ahead and open Ettercap. There's a couple ways we can do it. We can open it up through the command prompt with Ettercap-G for the graphical interface, but then we have to keep a command prompt open. If we close the command prompt, it's going to close the graphical interface on us. We can go to Internet, and you can find it right here, or you can go through Kali, sniffers and spoofing, network sniffers, and you can see that Ettercap graphical is right here. We'll go ahead and we'll click that, and then once it opens, we'll click Sniff, Unified Sniffing, and then select your interface. If you're on wireless, it's more than likely going to be WLAN 0, but I'm running from VM to VM, so it's like a wired connection, so I'll be using ETH0. So go ahead and click OK, and you can notice that the top menu here has a few more options. It has changed a little bit. From here, we're going to go ahead and click Hosts, and we're going to scan for hosts. Now what that did is it just scanned the subnet for any computers that may be on the network. We can see these computers if we click Host again, and then select Host List. Now, I'll select the router as target 2, and then our victim machine as target 1. If you don't select any targets for either target 1 or target 2, it's going to ARP spoof the whole network. Now, depending on how big the network is, it can bring the network down to a screeching halt, so it would be better off to select a computer that you want to pinpoint. We can go ahead and we can make sure that we have the right interface, or the right IP, for a victim. We'll click Start, CMD, and then type in IP config. And as you can see here, our IP is 192.168.220.135. And then that's who we set as target 1. So from here, we can select MITM, so man in the middle, ARP poisoning, and we're going to sniff remote connections. So we want to get the data going out to the internet for web pages and so on. After we click remote sniffing and OK, we'll click Start, and we'll start sniffing. And as you can see down here, we have the IP of our victim, and then the IP of the router. So now that that's complete, we can go ahead on the victim's machine and act as if they're just browsing the web. Now, one downfall to Ettercap is that Ettercap it substitutes the genuine cert for its own. So this is built from the information in the original certificate, but it doesn't change the issuer, which triggers the warning, if I'm correct, as what you're seeing here. See, there's a problem with this website security certificate. Now, if I'm right, You can probably get around this with deploying a root cert or a SSL cert on Apache that's not self-signed. I was reading a little bit something like that. I didn't go into it too much. If I figure out a way to do it, and I take a little more time, I'll make a video on that to show how to get around this so they don't get this this warning. So if the user is ignorant to like what's going on, they try going to Google, they try going to say Hotmail, and they get this for every page, well, more than likely they're just going to be like, you know what, forget it, I just want to go ahead and go through. So say we go to Facebook, www would help. If they get this all the time, more than likely, if they don't know what's going on, they may just say click continue to the website. Now this is what you're going to have to hope for. Now, Internet Explorer isn't normally the most secure browser, but in this situation, it's still giving the user quite a bit of havoc. So we also have to go ahead and click this and display blocked content so we can get the page to load regularly. If the user goes through all this problem and stuff like that, then we can harvest the credentials. So say Miller at millerstutorials.com or something like that, and just put in my password. Now it's a fake email and fake password. We go to log in. Now back on the attacking machine, you can see we have a user, we have a password, we have my email, Miller at millerstutorial.com, which doesn't exist, and then we have my fake password. And then we also have it down here just a little mumbled together a little more. So that works out. If we try to go to google.ca and they click go ahead with it, and maybe we can get some Gmail. We click Gmail, continue, and as you can see, the user is bugged quite a bit with this. So we'd have to wait yet again. Okay, they finally get to their Gmail, fake at gmail.com, and then yada 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 for a password. Okay, so that didn't work again. But then when we come back onto the attacker's machine, if we make this bigger, we'll drag this up, you can see fake at gmail.com and then me just bashing on the keyboard. Besides this, so Ettercap is pretty much trying to do like an SSL strip attack on every website that has SSL. The only time the user isn't going to get this this warning is if they're going to a website that doesn't have HTTPS or SSL on the site. So for instance, www.webs.com, as you can see here, there's no HTTPS, so it didn't prompt the user that their certificate may be faulty and that there's a security warning. So any website nowadays that you go to log into has SSL running, or should, so they're probably going to be prompt for it. On the attacking side, we can still run the same commands as we did in the last tutorial. Say driftnet and then etho. Now, like I said again, if you're running on wireless, it's going to be WLAN 0. We can hit enter. We get this window. Oh, we can drag that open. Okay, or it can give me difficulties. Here we go. And we'll go back to Google, and we'll search cars and images, and we should be able to to capture images that the user is still viewing on our attacking machine. Same thing with URL sniff. We should be able to see the where they're going, what websites they're going to, and so on. Now, as you can see here, I captured an image. We'd have to probably make this bigger, and so on, and that would fill up as you go. Another thing that Ettercap can do is DNS spoofing. So what we could do is we could download and clone or create our own website, and then when the user goes to, say, www.facebook.com or whatnot, it's automatically going to direct it to our attacking machine, which is running a web server, and we're going to serve them up whatever page we want. Now, if they're going to facebook.com, it's probably best to spoof a Facebook looking page so that they're not like, oh, what's this? You know, I'm at facebook.com, but it's not it. Or I can go into Gmail, but it doesn't look like Gmail. So what we can do for that is, I'm going to go ahead and stop our, I'm going to go ahead and stop our ARP spoof. I'll just close that. And we'll come back here. I'll hit the up arrow for the history. And we're going to edit the editor.dns. I'll make this bigger so it's easier to see. Now, you can just rename this file editor.dns.back or something like that, and just create your own file, which would be nice and neat and tidy. Or you can edit the one that they provide. It's up to you. So, under, say, Microsoft Sucks, which is redirecting to the IP of linux.org, we can make our own. So what we can do here is we can get rid of this, and we can type in, say, facebook.com, and then for an A record, and then our IP address. So we want to host the file. So what we'll do is we'll do an if config. As you can see, here's our IP address here. We can copy that, and we can paste it in here. Then we can do a star.facebook.com, another A record to our same IP address. And then for last and final, we'll do a PTR record, but there cannot be any wildcards in that, so we have to fully specify facebook.com and PTR, and then our IP address. Now, I'm using the tab in between these. Sometimes spaces matter, sometimes it doesn't. Now, for DNS, an A record is a DNS record that can be used to point a domain name or a host name to an IP address. So we're pointing facebook.com to our attacking machine. A PTR, I don't know why this keeps coming up here. A PTR record is the opposite of an A record. As an A record points to a domain name to an IP address, the PTR record resolves the IP address to the domain or host name. In other words, it's like a reverse DNS lookup. If you don't know about DNS, give it a Google. Easy to learn. I went over it in my Linux server course, so I know a little bit about it. It'd be a good idea to get a little bit of a background to it if you're going to try to set up DNS spoofing and so on. Yet again, we can hit Control-O, Enter, and then Control-X, so we saved and exit the file. And I'll show you how to run Ettercap through the command line this time, instead of going through the graphical user interface. So what we can do is we can type in Ettercap space T. Now the T is going to be for a text-only interface. -Q, which is quiet mode. It doesn't print the packet content. We're going to go -I, which is normally used for in any program that deals with interfaces. It sets the interface. So yet again, I'm on ETH0, or you'll be on WLAN 0 if you're on wireless. We'll do capital M, and then we're going to specify that we want to do an ARP spoof, remote, and then we're going to do a dash capital P, which is going to be for our DNS underscore spoof, /. Now we'll put in the IP address of the router, 192.168.220. Oh, I don't even have my number lock on here. 192.168.220.2, since I'm in a VM. And then space / 192.168.220.135 was the IP of the machine that we're trying to attack. So from here, we can go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, same kind of interface at the bottom. We're doing DNS spoofing, okay? So we'll have here, we're going to go to cd var www, and I have an index file in there already. Let's see what's in there. So I'll rm the index file, directory is blank, and I'll just create my own little message. So index.html. Now it doesn't have to be proper HTML code. We'll just do h1. I'll center it on the web page, and I'll say you have been hacked. We'll end the center tag, and we'll end the F. H1, Control 0, enter, Control X, and we'll do a service, Apache 2, restart. I'm not sure if it's running. If it's not running, it will fail to restart, but it will start the web server. So we'll go to the victim's machine. We'll open up a browser, and let's go to www.facebook.com. And as you can see, we've redirected our victim to whatever website or web page, that we're hosting on our attacking machine. So now Facebook.com has turned into the site page that we just created that says you've been hacked. So from here, we could do multiple malicious things. We can clone the Facebook page so we have it look exactly like as if you're logging in, and store the credentials. We can have it pop up saying, oh, your Java needs to be updated, and we can run a Java exploit so that we have Metasploit listening, and we get a interpreter shell sent right back to us, and now we have access to the physical computer itself. So that's it for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3, and I'll be doing man-in-the-middle attacks in Windows. Thank you.